Jeff YouTube channel. Here's today's question. Does the Bible have any insights on whether the Ice Age happened or not? If so, do we know when it occurred? Now, anytime we start dealing with questions regarding the Ice Age or anything that deals with the scientific nature and how it correlates with Scripture, there's always this approach that can have multiple facets. Allow me to explain. When we start talking about the, quote, creation of the creative order, there are those who hold to, and by the way, when I use the word left and right, just think the most broad time frame versus the most narrow time frame. There is what we know as theistic evolution. There is what we call the day-age theory, scientific creationism, the young earth theory, the gap theory, those moving from left to right, from the most expansive of time to the most narrow of time. And obviously those theories that have the most expansive of time would be the ones that would correlate the most with the scientific observation of what we know as an ice age. The big question is this: does the Bible address it? And if so, how do we approach it? Well, irrespectively of one of the five positions that I and you and everybody who's a believer holds, whether we realize it or not, let's talk about this, because the Bible uses a term quite frequently that might surprise you. The term is the deep. Now, in Psalms 104, it talks about the deep. In Genesis 1, verse 2, it talks about the deep. And there's these references to the deep. Why is that important? Because the Lord comes to Job and he talks about in Job 38 about setting the boundaries of the waters. In other words, the Bible distinguishes between the waters of like the oceans and the rains and such from the deep, which seems to be something else. And let me remind you that what we know as deep space is quite cold. The reason I allude to this in somewhat vague terms is the Bible is not a scientific textbook. However, the Bible does not contradict scientific observation. And oftentimes the Bible helps us to understand and explain some of those things. When it comes to the Ice Age, I would venture to say that these passages we have regarding the deep and God looking over the deep and moving over the deep and then life coming out of the deep could be potentially an allusion to what you and I know from the scientific community as an ice age. Great question. If you have one, send it to AskJeff.net. Maybe your question will be tomorrow's. Thanks for being a part of today's daily question. Now, we answer a question each and every day. Please feel free to submit a new question at AskJeff.net. We may not have gotten to yours today, but we eventually will continue to be a part of this. Subscribe so you don't miss out on a question every day.